Hello, welcome to my E30 project. Now, above me is a lovely E30 from the 90s, I think it's a 92, and it's a touring and it's a 324 TD. And obviously it's a left-hand drive because it was imported from France and I had it put on British plates. And it made its way over to Spain, but unfortunately the water pump failed on it and it's took me a while to sort stuff out. So we've had a new water pump, but while it's been over here, we thought we'd give it a complete reformation of the underside because some of the bushes are rotten and one or two other things. So what I'm going to do now is pull the camera off the tripod, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do to it so as we can get the whole of the underneath sorted out. Right then, we first of all started with the diff. There's no oil leaks on the diff at all, but it was very, very rusty. So as we've given it a coat of the anti-rust thing, solution, whatever you want to call it, Truston 23, Hammerite Q-Rust, which is quite good. So we've got no issues with the diff whatsoever. Now, even the shock absorbers are fine. Now, when I first used it, I put some spring assists in there. The shock absorbers are fine, we got no leaking. Brakes, the brakes was done before I come over. That was all brand new and renewed. We got some drop links on the rear. The bushes are not too bad, but you can see signs of perishing on the bushes. So those will need changing. So we'll get that sorted out as well. Now the exhaust is some sort of aftermarket exhaust. It's not the original exhaust because it's been sort of bashed in there. But I'm going to pull the exhaust off because we've got another problem. Now we've got the rear arm bushes. Those are not too bad, but I think I'm going to pull that whole of the arm off and replace it. I might do the shock absorbers, bushes. I might put new shock absorbers on yet. I'm not decided yet until it comes off. Slight little bit of rust on there, but nothing too serious. It's in very, very good condition. Now this has twin tanks. We need to pull the exhaust off because somewhere along the line, the fuel line was a bit rusty, but I'm going to clean all that copper slip off, what somebody done. We can get to that fuel line. We got no leaks on there at all, so I'm not too worried. Now, the sills, plastic sills, are held on with some clips, and there's a few clips missing where I think you can see there where somebody's put a trolley jack underneath or something and put a slight dent in there. We're going to have a look at that, see if there's any major issues on there, but I don't think there will be personally. The exhaust system's fine. We'll still use that. We've been treating that with a bit of WD-40 as well, so as we can get that off. Now, an issue with it was a very bad gearbox oil leak. So I have actually put up here a new oil seal. So we're going to pull the prop shaft out and then we're going to address that. Now, arms, bushes in the arms have gone, totally gone. We've got drop links, brake pads was done a while ago. We've got anti-roll bar bushes as well. Now the engine is as sweet as a nut, although it has got an oil leak. So as we need to address that, I have removed the oil filter, sorry, the oil cooler. I'm going to take the oil filter housing off so as I can get underneath and get to the turbo. So we've got a slight oil leak coming from the turbo over the years. So as we're going to pull the turbo off, we're going to check the turbo. As you can see, I'll put a new water pump on and a new radiator. Now I need to take the radiator off again to get to the oil pump, but as you can see, all the structure wise, there's no rot on it at all. There's a slight bit of a dent there where I think somebody's gone up a curb or something, because we have noticed that on the flywheel pulley dampener there's a big chunk missing out of it. Now then, so we've got that to sort out as well. I'm going to pull the steering rack off, get all that cleaned off. Front cross member, I'm going to pull that out the way, and I'm going to pull the sump off. Now the sump has had some damage in its life and that's been welded. We're going to address that and get that sorted out. So basically I want the whole of the underneath of this car oil leak free, and we can either decide whether we're going to keep it or sell it. Now then, I've brought quite a few bits that have arrived. So we've got quite a few selection. We've got a complete polybush kit for it. And also here we've got a second-hand flywheel dampener, which is in very, very good condition. And we've got all these bits to put on. So I'm going to leave that there for now. And we're going to start stripping things down, and then we're going to carry on with that and to see what else, any other horrors we can find. Okay, we've got the exhaust system off and the underguard protection for the prop shaft, also the prop shaft. Obviously, we've revealed our little bracket where the fuel transfers from one tank to the other, and after scraping it a bit, there's no corrosion on it, just a bit of rust. So we're going to clean that up, treat that. There's a few little brackets with some signs of rust on it, but generally not too bad. The gearbox oil leak, we're going to take this donut off now, and then if you see, there's a nut in there. We've got to lock the shaft and then take the nut off. I think the torque figures are about 160 Newton meters. Bit of thread lock and then slacken it off to 120. Once we've replaced the seal in that, but from what I can see, it may be the top of the gear shaft seal. That is another cause. So while it's off, we're going to replace that as well. We'll see if we can get through to it. And also there's these rubber mounts on here, which these are the original BMW E30 rubber mounts. These can be replaced with basically machine mounts, so the same size for that. That'll do fine, so you don't have to go to all expense to get genuine rubber mounts on there, which you'll probably find the machine mounts are probably a bit better as well. These are really, really gone, these have. You can shove your finger more or less in it by about half an inch. So as we'll take those off as well, we'll just support the gearbox a little bit while we're doing it. It shouldn't go too far anyway. So let's crack on with that then, see if we can get this flange off, which I've been told it's a bit of a bugger, but let's have a look anyway. Now then, on the gear linkage, on the gear tag gearbox here, if you can just see this here, there's a collar around there, so as you can pull the collar back out the way, and there's a pin. Now, for some unknown reason, BMW have decided to put the pin underneath. Now, I don't know what the reason, in the wisdom of the engineer's mind, why they've done that for. If they'd put it through to the side, it would have made it so easy just to flip the pin out the side, pull it out the way, change the oil seal. But in their wisdom, as you can see, they've put the pin underneath. Right, so you think, great, push it up, pull it off, no problem. However, that's in the way. So that's the top linkage. So you've got to take that linkage out really to get the pin out, which is a pain in the backside. However, I'm just going to try and make a little device there to flip the pin down enough so as I can pull it out with the pliers. So as wish me luck on that one. So in the meantime, I'll be tackling this to get this out so as we can do the two seals together. German engineering, it hasn't convinced me yet. So we've cheated BMW and we've made a little tool, and we've managed to get to the back of that to push the thing down. And you can see the pin's out. We're just going to get a pair of long nose pliers now, give that a wheel, pull it out, and then I shall put a little, there's the oil seal there, I'll just put like a little self tapper in there and just extract that out the way, clean it all up, clean everything up then. At the moment we're struggling for a 30mm deep socket. I've got one at home in the UK, but I haven't got one here, so I can either cut a 30mm up and then weld a bit of tube over it with another socket. Don't really want to do that. I think I may be able to get one out. I'm going to have a look. I'm in no rush. And then we'll get that one out. But we'll have to order an oil seal for the top anyway because I've only got this one. So let's crack on then. So as we've managed to get the nut off, 30mm deep socket. A bit of a struggle. You just got to remember to pull the shield off, pick it out. We picked that out with a magnet. If you've looked, we've pulled the top oil seal out, and we've got another one, not exactly the same, but it will do the job. That's what's available here. And I'm just going to get the three-legged puller now, just to pull that off so as we can get to the seal and replace the seal on that. So there's the joint off, and you can see there's a slight marking round there. It's not wore anything, it just needs a bit of 2000 and some oil just to clean that up, which is probably remains of the seal over the years. However, looking at it, I'm not sure whether when Gertag put the gearboxes together, whether they use some sort of locking thing on the shaft. I've never seen that before. I know you put some around the nut, but why would you put some around the shaft? That baffles me. That was quite hard to get off. Normally I've pulled them off before with a bar and they've just slid off. So I'm not sure whether that's a factory thing, original thing, or somebody's had it off before because it's been leaking oil. But that one's been the culprit. Who knows? But we're going to get on with them and replace them anyway. Right, as you can see, we've got both oil seals now in. We just put a little bit of Olimar around the edge of the seal. That just helps it go in a bit easier. Top seal's done. What I'm going to do now is clean all this up and probably remove these mounts. I think I'm going to replace them. I'm not sure, to be quite honest with you. But what we can do next, we can get the downut back in on the shaft, and I think it's about 180 newton meters, and then down to 120. I'll have a look at the specifications for that. We can get that in and torqued up correctly, and then I can clean all this lot up. Then I've got a tiny little rust issue here, which I'm going to clean all that up and treat. Apart from that, it's looking very good. So as the seal's been fitted, both seals now, we put the donut on. We haven't tightened the donut up properly yet. The middle torque nut, bit of thread lock on the nut, and then that was first pulled up to 170 newton meters, and then we released it to 120 newton meters. We managed to wedge a socket in off the flange to here to get the correct torque setting. So as that's ready now for the prop shaft to be in, I'm just going to put a little bit of nut lock on each of those nuts and the prop shaft when I've done it. Now, we found a little bit of rust in that area there, which we've treated that and sorted that out. Everything's all greased up now and sorted on there, so I'm happy with that. The only thing I need to do now with the gearbox is to obviously give it a bit of a clean, but I shall drain the oil and we'll put some new oil in there. We know the clutch is fine. We ain't got no issues with the clutch on there, although it is high mileage, which I think it's done about 263,000 kilometres, but I think it may have had a clutch in it in its life. So now we need to get back onto the rear axle arms. So as we've started on the rear arse shafts, removing the rear arse shafts, that nut was a bit of a bugger and it's very tight in there. It seems as if either BMW or somebody else has had this apart before, but these are very tight in here. they should pull out. They should leave it out and pull out, but it looks as if they've used some sort of lock nut compound on everything on here, to be quite honest with you. So I just need somebody to hold that now while I just bang that through with a nice drift, and we can get that one out. So as our aim is to disconnect that brake pipe there, which I think I will renew that. That's been in there from day one. And then we've got to get to those nuts. Now previously I've used a bit of WD-40 penetrating oil on both of them, so as they should come off. We need to remove the rear anti-roll bar. We'll pull the shock absorber out and we'll drop the spring out the way. And then I'm hoping that obviously I'm going to have to attach this brake caliper to the arm. I don't really want to remove any assembly pipes any further, because the brake pipes are all right, but I really need to replace that. So we're going to pull it out, and then hopefully we can get to those rotten bushes and change them for pulley bushes. So let's see how we can crack on with there. And now obviously these 8mm Allen bolts, and when the 30mm socket for these was very tight. I've had to use a bar on some of them. We've had to use like a Stilson wrench on there because that nut was absolutely seized in. But progress so far is not too bad. Well, this has been challenging to say the least. Is removing the handbrake cable. You've got to remove the handbrake cable so you can drop the arm completely out the way. However, that's the only point. But if you look here, the handbrake was actually seized in the mounting. Now, we didn't want to wreck the handbrake cable, so as with a bit of lubrication oil and a bit of wiggling and waggling and some mole grips, we've managed to pull it out there. Now, I have got new wheel bearings, just one. This one feels all right, but do I replace it or not? That is the question while it's off. Somebody's purchased a puller for this using your wheel nuts. You put the puller at the back of it. I can actually cut some half-inch thick steel plate and just do something myself, so as I don't need to buy that. That's stuff you don't need in my case. But to actually physically replace this handbrake cable, looking at it now, you've got to remove the tanks. Now it looks like twin tanks, but it's actually not, it's in one. Now that confused me a little bit, not being too familiar with E30s. It's bridged at the top to allow the prop shaft to go through it, and then you've just got your balancer pipe between it. So to replace the handbrake cable, the tanks are going to be dropped out the way, which it's a bit of a job that is on its own. So luckily the handbrake cable seems to be fine, so I'm going to be happy with that. I'm going to try and get these bolts out here now and take the anti-roll bar off, so as we can crack on with that. Right, we've got this far, and my advice for anybody tackling this job is to remove the spring first. Now I was lucky to wedge a bar in and take the tension off the spring before I took the bolt out the lower damper. Spring clamps would make it easy. I did try a clamp to start off with and wedge this in just to lift it up, pull the spring out, which allows you to get it down enough so you can get a spanner. Now these was really tight, creaky tight I'd call it, but luckily the bolts, if you can see here, let me just try and zoom in a little bit more. You can see there I've just took the nut off and just literally slid it along up and down. So as this is ready to come off now, I've just got to secure the caliper to the arm, and I can take the whole lot down then and then replace those bushes. So the problem is now, if you can see, there's not a lot of room there to get your fingers in to get the nut on when I assemble it, so I might have to use a magnet or some sort of stickiness to hold it there, where I can just put the nut on and spin it up. apart from that, it's, you know, it's not too bad of a job. Like I say, I'm on a ramp here, so it does make life a little bit easier. So the arm's off. Now then, right, my thoughts on German technology are getting a little bit far from it being good in some of the design things. But however, this is a 30-odd-year-old car, and my number one gripe is that you cannot fetch that bolt off at all without removing the fuel inlet pipe. Now then, I didn't know that this fuel tank on this E30 was brimmed to the neck. So as you can imagine what's happened. So yep, the whole lot's come out, all that gold diesel. I think it was probably about 120 a litre when it was necked anyway. So we've had a little bit of a catastrophe, but we've got it off, and that's the main thing now. So we know that we've got to take the pipe back off again. So I'm going to shove a long pipe into the tank, and I'm going to drain some of the fuel out, well, quite a bit of the fuel out, to be honest with you. Now I can crack on with this now, get everything all cleaned up. I shall decide whether I'm going to replace the wheel bearing or not. What I want to do is I'll get the one in the other side, and then I want to feel the difference in it. But saying that, if it's done like 200,000 kilometres, I think it'll be false economy not to do it for the sake of about £40. And also change the shock absorbers as well. The shock absorber's not too bad, but easy enough to do off the car. But I definitely need to get two new brake pipes. I can get in there now to clean everything up. I've got those bushes to change there. So we're going to call this end of part 1. So look forward to the video on the next part. I'm going to strip all this. You don't want to see me doing all this boring this side. So we'll get it all off and get it done, and then we can concentrate on all the front. And what I can say is thanks for watching. Please subscribe. You never know when there's something I might do. Give you a few ideas on whatever projects you're doing. Yeah, thank you. Bye.